Freedom is the right to tell what they do not want to hear. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Tired of the same repetitive government narratives? Then wave goodbye to the distractions and rhetoric of corporate media. For this is Anti-Media Radio.
But I want to get the language right.
The big government is in trouble.
You're all a bunch of slaves! Bunch of slaves!
What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another.
What's your definition of media?
And now, here's your host, S.M. Gibson.
The rebellion starts with you. This is S.M. Gibson, and I am your host for Anti-Media Radio. It is October the 27th, 2015. Are you tired? Are you sick? Are you frustrated of having the same agenda shoved down your throat? You know what's going to be told to you before it even comes out of Anderson Cooper's mouth or Sean Hannity or whatever other paid morons on TV telling you what to believe. They're a mouthpiece, and it's time to wake up. And you are here right now, Anti-Media Radio. As always, we like to start the beginning of every episode with a few statistics that the corporate media conveniently glosses over. So far in 2015, there have been 980 Americans killed by police officers. There have also been 101 officers that have died in the line of duty since January 1st, 2015. The city of Chicago, which they praise and they hold up as its great gun laws, and this is how we should have the entire country look. Very strict gun laws in the Windy City. So far, 2,510 people have been shot this year alone. 426 homicides. And the United States, great friend, their great ally, 15 of the 19 hijackers on 9/11. So far this year, 138 beheadings by the nation of Saudi Arabia. When ISIS beheads people, we should bomb people. When Assad does something, we need to overthrow Assad. But when Saudi Arabia does anything, it's no big deal. As always, joined in the studio with our wonderful producer, Mr. Shannon Madden. Shannon, how are you this evening?
Absolutely wonderful, Mr. Gibson. How are you?
Oh, frustrated, in a bad mood. Everything that's going on in the world. Just in a bad mood. I'm sick of it all. It's just one thing after another, after another, after another. I tell you what, before we even get into any of the news tonight, any of the topics, I guess this is news. This is a story from back in March that kind of had its fruition, I guess, period on the Senate, if you can call it that. It's really not. Last week, story of a young man in Florida that was selling weed. Cops kicked in the door bright early in the morning. Unarmed. Cops shoot him in the face, and he's dead.
And bear in mind, this is also a no-knock warrant. So there were no knocking on the door, hey, this is police.
Oh, the Volusia County.
Kicked in, all flew open at once, freeze, everybody get on the ground. Derek Crews gets up out of bed, essentially in his boxer shorts, is completely unarmed.
He was in basketball shorts and no shirt, bare feet, goes to the door, dead. Unarmed, admitted by police, admitted, was not a physical threat. Last week, the officer involved, Todd Arrival, Raible, cleared of any wrongdoing.
Just a simple misunderstanding.
That's it. No harm, no foul. I tell you what, let's do. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the cars.
Get right ahead.
Area code 718. Welcome to Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight.
What's that?
Tell us your name and where you're calling from tonight.
Oh, Steve from Staten Island.
Steve from Staten Island. What is on your mind this evening?
Well, you guys put up a lot of stuff about, how the right and left are all the same. And it really kind of bugs me because I see a clear, strong difference. I mean, there's a slight similarity, but mostly there's a strong difference in philosophy.
Are there? Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, well, for one, Republicans basically are basically for the rich and corporate, and they try to pump tax dollars into that sect of society, and Democrats are more for the middle class and pump, tax dollars into things for the middle class. And
So
I clearly see it that way.
Who are Hillary Clinton's top donors right now?
Yeah, do you know who Hillary Clinton's top donors are?
Right, and that's fair enough. I mean, almost every single candidate takes money from all facets of business.
So
but the main point is
that they're pretty similar because regardless of whatever rhetoric they're going to spew,
that's the only similarity. But
that's the okay. Let me ask you a question. That's the only similarity. Okay.
That seems like a pretty big issue.
I tell you what. Did you happen to vote for Barack Obama?
Absolutely.
Okay, and he's a Nobel Peace Prize winner.
He's a what?
Nobel Peace Prize winner.
All right, but you're skirting the point that I was trying to make, and you're going on another point. So if we could just continue on the point.
Okay,
yes, a lot of them do get corporate money.
Yeah, bomb in 7 countries, Nobel Peace Prize winner, saying that he's going to get out of Afghanistan because Bush is a warmonger and just announced 2 weeks ago that we're going to stay in there for 8 years.
Yeah, okay, he's a warmonger, but we spent $4 to $5 trillion in Iraq and Afghanistan, but he's the warmonger, and went to the wrong country, but he's the warmonger. I mean, you want to go on a different point. The point that I made, that I called you up and said, is that you guys always put up things that the right and left wing is all the same, and I'm saying, yes, they all get corporate money. One is on their knees the whole time. You're not even going to let me say anything.
I mean, how much clearer can you get? Iraq was started by the Bushes, and it's still continued by Barack Obama.
Obviously, you just want to talk about foreign policy, and you don't want to talk about the issue that I brought up to say that you guys are saying they're both the same, and I'm calling you out on saying they're not the same.
Right, but you haven't said any different. You just said, you can sit, here's the thing. Here's the thing about the world. You can sit here and go, they're different because I said so. That doesn't make you right because you raised your voice. It makes you a buffoon and a moron. Give me a break that we live in this world that because you believe what you hear on TV, you think there's this massive difference between what people are. Give me a break.
And we pointed out so many freaking times on this show, so many times, the fact that all of these little talking points that make both of the parties seem so different are just, all they are is simple rhetoric to divide people into two groups, one on one side, one on the other. But what we just pointed out a moment ago, and this is why we were saying what we're saying, is the fact that corporate America runs both the right and the left. hands down. They don't answer to the American people. They answer to corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
That's why corporate America is shoveling money in their direction, left and right, and legislation is being changed daily to reinforce what corporate America wants to do. If they're doing something illegal, then let's go ahead and let's pay off a politician and get that law rewritten so we can do business as usual and keep that money coming in. That's why we keep saying this over and over and over again. You know, Iraq and Afghanistan is started by the Bushes all the way over on the right, has been picked up and is rolling right along with the left with Barack Obama, and all of the candidates, both on the right and the left, are all for remaining in these wars and keeping these, you know, trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars pumping over towards the military and our presence over not only just the Middle East but all over the world.
Yeah. Area code 559. Welcome to Anti-Media Radio. This is your host, S.M. Gibson. Tell us your name and where you're calling from this evening.
Hello. Goodbye.
So yeah, let's go right back to what we were just talking about. The Obama administration is being sued right now to release 32 videotapes of torture, force feeding that happened at Guantanamo Bay.
Only the Republicans do that.
Oh, this is the same Guantanamo Bay that Barack Obama has said over and over.
We're going to shut it down.
Shut it down.
We're going to shut it down.
Going to shut it down. But he's refusing to let this happen. So Judge Gladys Kessler recently said, guess what? The public has the right to see this. The quote, Judge Kessler is a U.S. District Court judge. Transparency about the actions of our government, including the judiciary, is one of the cornerstones of our democracy. This court has found that the government's justifications for barring the American public from seeing the videotapes are not sufficiently rational and plausible to justify barring release of the videotapes, which are part of the court's official records, from the eyes and ears of the American public. But Obama don't want this stuff getting out there. But he wants to close it down. He's so different.
Didn't he go on record recently as championing his administration as the most transparent on record?
What a fool. With Edward Snowden sitting across in Russia right now.
Yeah.
And Chelsea Manning's sitting in prison right now.
For actually really digging a little deeper into that whole transparency bit.
Mm.
Yeah.
Speaking of transparency, today the U.S. Senate passed CISA, the Cyber Security Information Sharing Act.
Mm-hmm.
It was introduced by Democrat Dianne Feinstein, and it's going to go to his desk, and, controversial bill encourages companies to share private user data with the government.
The Democrats are making sure that the little man is heard every single word.
They're making sure
every single little word he says. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what world do we live in that people think there's a difference of either side? They do the same thing. The lobbyists don't care if there's an R next to your name or a D next to your name. Bought and sold. Bought and sold.
Every single one of them.
So, yeah, CISA, huge deal. That's happened. Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act. Actually passed the Senate with a vote of 74 to 21. The bill is now going to a conference committee between the House of Representatives, which has passed its own version. And if it's approved, it's going to head to the desk of Barack Obama. If he doesn't veto the bill, he's going to show, despite all of his rhetoric and despite really everything he's already shown and proven with all of his actions, that he could care less about open internet or the American people. That's already been proven at this point.
Well, and also as far as bipartisanship goes, this, after a little debate, a little puppet show debate that they did in the Senate, It passed a 74-21 vote. There's all that division right there. There you go.
Snowden even tweeted out that CISA gives companies legal immunity for violating privacy laws if they also can give your data to the government. There were 4 amendments attached to the bill. They all failed. They were all trying to rein in a little bit of the spying and the violation of your rights and American people not having any privacy. None of the amendments passed. And it's just going straight ahead. And a bill like this does not need to happen at all. That being said, I hate to say it, I hate to be a skeptic and, call me conspiracy minded on this, but they're going to do this if they want to do this with or without a bill. They didn't spend all the money that they spent building a facility in Utah to not be able to collect information from people. So, sorry, you don't have privacy under a Republican, you don't have privacy under a Democrat. Because let me tell you something, if the whole Snowden thing would have happened under Bush, okay, Democrats would have been screaming, how dare you treat this guy this way? How dare you? You're a bunch of monsters. But Obama's in office. And guess what? He's not here because he won't get a fair trial. Because they don't care about freedom. They don't care about your rights. They don't care about my rights. They got made a fool of by this man because he called them out on something that had to be called out on. The fact that anybody can look the American people in the face and not say that man's a hero, they're a traitor.
Well, now, to be fair, Bernie Sanders, who's running as a Democrat, has said that he'll gladly knock a couple of years off of Snowden's, sentence.
Yeah.
Because he did, he was doing the right thing. He just went about it all wrong, Should have stayed here in America so he could have got shot.
If he wouldn't have handled that, Snowden, the way that he did, we would have never probably heard his name. You'll never know. You can't go back in time. All we know is what we have in front of us. But they wouldn't have been kind to him.
No, they would not have. And we've seen so many examples throughout history about how the American government takes care of people who happen to divulge.
Michael Hastings. Among many others. Chelsea Manning. Never going to get out. Never going to get out. Among many, 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 many others. But we're the land of the free. But if somebody releases some information that makes the government look silly and foolish because they've been doing silly and foolish things, then the whistleblower who, remind me if I'm wrong, Barack Obama came into office saying, going to protect the whistleblowers, that, this is America. And it goes back to the rhetoric of Obama. He had great rhetoric. He said,
still does to this very day.
Well, he's had to back off quite a lot of it, especially over the whole Snowden thing. But he's like, we're going to protect whistleblowers. We're going to be transparent. We're talking the least transparent presidency ever. And I think it is the least transparent presidency ever because of his rhetoric. Because at least under the Bush administration, they weren't winning any peace prizes. They weren't, saying this or that. They're like, we're going to bomb some people. Deal with it.
Yeah.
We're going to bomb some people. Oh, sorry, wrong information. Still don't care. We're still going to keep bombing.
We did the right thing by bombing.
Yeah. But Obama is trying to be like, oh, no, those things that the Bushes did were horrible. We're going to keep doing them, but they were terrible.
They were horrible, horrible, horrible.
Horrible things that we have.
That's why you did a good thing by voting Democrat instead of Republican, so we don't have to deal with these horrible atrocities. Now it's going to kick some ass in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Just like Bush did.
Did you hear what Trump said the other day?
God.
I know.
It's still a thing.
It's still a thing. He said To me, though, this sums up so much of government and politicians. He was like, it was such a mistake that we got out, or that we went into Iraq. He was talking about back in 2003, and it was a huge mistake, and we never should have gone to Iraq. And he's like, I went on the record at the time and said that. And he's like, and it was just a huge mistake that we left Iraq. You know, we were there, so because we were there, we had to finish the job. And it's like, wait, it's a mistake to go, but it's a mistake to leave.
What else do we
That's a politician.
What else do we have left to bomb there? I mean, you know, we pretty much hollowed Iraq out. Is there anything left to bomb there?
They got ISIS running wild.
Yeah. But Al-Qaeda's a good guy now. Just remember that.
Yeah, someday. It depends where they're located at that week. If they're in Yemen, they're the bad guy.
And you know, just I'm sorry, it just still pisses me off, that last caller. That just still pisses me off, and that's a lot of the sheep mouth breathing mentality that you know is pervading in American society right now.
Right now, always.
You know, and I think we can both agree it's gotten a lot worse as well.
I disagree with that, and I do think I'll tell you why I disagree with that. I think there is a reason that somebody like Bernie Sanders is getting traction, because they're presented, not saying that they are different, but they're presented as being not Hillary Clinton. This is different because you're sick of the same thing. Same with Trump. You know, he's presented as being an outsider. He has the money, and this is one thing that is true about him. It doesn't make his beliefs or policies right, but he does have so much money, he doesn't have to be bald. So, you know, I think that appeals to people. Bernie Sanders not having the super PACs, not being bald, that appeals to people.
Well, why do we have to stop at Bernie Sanders, though? And for God's sake, why do we got to stop at Donald Trump? I mean, you want different. I mean, there's.
Well, but you're right. But you still. This is what people don't realize is that the corporate media is they're going to drive a certain narrative home, and because of that narrative, people are going to go, okay. Nobody's giving Hillary record. Nobody wants Hillary. Nobody. Everybody's sick of that. She's going to get the nomination. We all know that. But that's going to be because Bernie's going to be a good little boy and drop out and give her his support. But nobody wants her. The Republicans, you know, Trump's the gray area in that one. You know, who knows?
Gray matter.
Yeah. It's hard to say what's going to go down with all of that.
Well, I know that Ben Carson's back on the cross again.
He's in the lead in some polls too, for whatever that's worth.
And that's why they've got him on the cross.
We know he's not going to. He's not their chosen guy.
No. But again, underscoring the fact that the American citizens do want something different than the typical, you know, Washington politician. And, you know,
it's obvious.
I mean, you know, Hillary came with a lot of baggage anyways, but for her to be showing this, you know, weekly, or this week in the polls.
Because the thing, it's like you said, you got Ben Carson doing well in the polls, you got Donald Trump doing well in the polls. What do they have in common? They're not
politicians.
They're not in Washington. They're not elected officials. Mm-hmm. People are sick of it. Doesn't mean those guys are going to be different. But I think it goes to show you the mentality. It's like you said, you feel like we're more sucked into that now than ever. And I feel like people are still feeling constrained by the two-party system, but they're obviously looking for answers outside of, quote-unquote, the political establishment.
Well, and any time that you have Republican or Democrat beside that name, you've still got money coming in from a lot of different places, just strictly from the party line.
Sure.
You know that, and I'm sorry, all of that money comes with it comes with a price. There's no such thing as a free lunch. There are favors.
Unless Bernie Sanders wins.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, well, free lunch and free college and free sweaters and dogs and goats for everybody.
Hey, I'll take a free sweater.
I'd like a free pony. That's why I'm still on Vermin Supreme, but, you know. I'm marching to the polls with dignity this year. I'm not just going to waste my vote on anybody. I'm wasting on Vermin Supreme.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, you at least have the comfort when you lay your head down at night, knowing that thanks to the way our election system is handled and the Electoral College, that you can go vote for me. Mm-hmm. Which, why not? People, yeah, sure. I'm not going to do anything. Neither are they. But you know what? If you vote for me, doesn't matter. The Republican nominee is going to get your vote thanks to the Electoral College because of where we live.
That's right. Absolutely right.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. And you know, that's kind of the way of the world. And you know, for anybody to argue that no, there are some very just vast philosophical differences between the Republicans and the Democrats, that you're who they want.
Oh, did you hear all the good news coming out of Detroit? It's a utopia now.
Yeah, Detroit.
Did you hear that? Chicago's a utopia. Yeah, I don't know if they've covered that, but, you know, we've had a Democrat president since 2008, so I assume, because of what the caller said.
For the little man.
I assume because...
He's from Chicago, too, isn't he? Yeah.
Staten Island now. He's in New York. Yeah, our president.
Our president's from Chicago.
Yeah. Well,
Chicago's a...
wasn't from Chicago, but he lived most of his adult life in Chicago.
There. Yeah.
Yeah. He spent some time there.
Yeah.
Michelle's from Chicago.
Yeah, you know she's from Chicago.
But it's a utopia. We have not seen 2,500 people shot so far this year. We've not seen 426 murders in the city of Chicago because Democrats were elected.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And they went ahead and got all this
party to the people
in place and
joke.
Yeah, the whole thing's a joke. And again, for anybody to suggest otherwise, it's just beyond my comprehension. I mean, again, you know, we spell it out every single night on the show. Exactly all of the very, very vast similarities between both the Republicans and the Democrats. Any and all nationally elected officials, and of course here where we live, all the way down to the local officials too. You know, and it's a joke, and you think that, you know, everybody's, you know, insistent that their vote matters and their vote's going to make a difference. Ask Al Gore about that sometime.
Yeah, it don't matter
if you can get him on the phone. I mean, he's a busy fellow.
And that's not to mention the Clint Curtis and, you know, the Bev Harrises, black box voting. For those that don't know what I'm referring to, if you were interested in going out and researching some of the election fraud that we experienced so far in this country, I highly suggest you go look up Bev Harris, look up black box voting, look up Clint Curtis, look up the documentary Hacking Democracy. You know, sorry, we don't live in a perfect world. People with a lot of money are in control.
Well, you know, and again, that's why it's funny to me, you know, here when we talk about, you know, local matters, one local matter that's kind of become a little bit of a national issue has been the closing of numerous DMVs throughout the state of Alabama. A lot of those DMVs happen to reside in poor counties in the...
See, I haven't kept up with that whole story. When I first heard about it, you have to tell me where they're at now. Well, when I first heard about it, they were closing them all except for Mobile, Montgomery, Huntsville, and Birmingham.
Yeah, and primarily most of them are in rural areas down in the...
No, that's everywhere. If that's all but 4 cities, that has nothing to do with race. That has the whole state's closing down.
And a vast majority of the DMVs, and this is just follow my line of thinking for a second. Again, going back to what we were just talking about. Here we have all of these mass closings going down. Then suddenly we have this mass wave of media saying that we're basically disenfranchising black voters by denying them access to the poll or
disenfranchising black voters. Let's talk about disenfranchising all voters, like for real. Our votes don't matter, no matter who you are.
Going back to what we were just talking about, though, it is so ludicrous to even suggest that because the Republicans have the electoral college vote sewn up in Alabama,
right?
And they have for quite a few elections now. That's just the way that works. That's the way that cookie crumbles, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Sorry, you're in the South. The way the Electoral College is set up, those few votes are going to go to the Republican nominee. They went to Mitt Romney. Yeah. Who voted for Mitt Romney?
I don't even think Mitt Romney was allowed to vote for himself.
I know.
Yeah. It's good times.
It's just the way the system is set up.
Yeah.
And you run into this huge problem that you get people thinking, oh, the grand conspiracy is, people sitting around a pentagram and worshiping the devil and the Illuminati.
He's there.
Blah, 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 whatever, I'm sure probably somebody does do that, but the problem, it doesn't, it's the same result. There's some rich people, it's out in the open, they have lobbyists, they go to D.C., they do what they want, they buy the politicians. It's the same result no matter what. But people want to get focused. It goes both ways. You got people that are like, oh, everything's a conspiracy. It's like, not really. It's pretty much out in the open.
Yeah, conspiracy is something that's talked about in quiet, hushed tones. The things that we report about on this show come from a lot of credible news.
It's all true. Like, it's not,
and not just
credible news.
Not just one or two or three sources, but it's all.
To me, credible news is somebody with a camera and somebody with a audio recorder watching it happen. That's the whole point of what anti-media is. I don't care what CNN says. I don't care what Fox News says. There's a video of something happening, then that happened, whether they report it or not. If they choose not to report it, what do I care?
Well, and I guess since you're on that topic too, because we really need to touch on this tonight, the story that is taking the nation by storm at the moment, the young students in South Carolina.
Thank God we had a Democrat president.
He was basically just tossed around the room like she was nothing. That regardless of whatever situation precipitated that.
No, that's what's so messed up.
She pulled out a weapon, which I saw the video, just like we were talking about, the recording device that was there didn't pick up any kind of weapon or any kind of, I'm not doing what you said.
You listening right now are the media. You are the media. Your phone. You're the media. You report what's happening around you. Somebody doesn't need a fancy studio or, they don't have to have some silver-haired fox reading off of a script to you. None of that. You're the news. You tell what happened in your life today. And enough people repeat that, and that's what's happening. We don't need these huge corporations telling us what to believe, telling us what happened and how we should react. Because that's the point.
It's funny you mention that because that's actually a darker part of this story. This story just gets weirder and weirder the further in you look at it.
Real quick, I want to say this. CNN went on and on and on, and I'm sure the others did too. But we don't know what happened before the video was rolling. Really? This is a child. A female. I don't care if she flicked him off, insulted his mother, and kicked him between the legs. What happened on that video? Uncalled for. Ridiculous. For anybody to go, well, I just don't know. Unless before the video started, she had his mother and slit her throat. Yeah, that's not called for. Sorry. Continue, Sharon.
Well, right off the bat, we have the initial video came out. It went viral almost instantly. I want to say that I saw the video on my own Facebook wall probably 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
We had it up quick. Nick got it up
everywhere. So I see the video. Of course, my initial reaction was, and I didn't really care about what happened before or after. It's just what I saw in that video. I couldn't believe that this big, giant, huge, I guess 250, 300-pound man was picking this person's child up. I mean, first off, my initial reaction was, oh my God, he about broke her head when he threw the desk over. And then, of course, drags her out with no thought or care of what, if she hits her head or if a leg gets broken or like something's pulled out of the socket or anything like that. He just starts throwing her around like she's nothing. And of course, and it certainly doesn't help the fact that he was white and she was African American.
Wow. There's another part to that story.
A lot of that way, yeah. That's we'll get to that in a second. A lot of that is very prevalent in South Carolina, from what we understand in the stories that seem to keep coming out of there. And again, we're broadcasting from Alabama, so there is a little bit of that to consider in the story. However, it is being spun that he has a African American girlfriend of his own, so race could definitely not be a factor in it.
Well,
but
yeah.
This officer, which again,
this isn't the first time he's been in trouble.
No, his name is Senior Deputy Ben Fields. Excuse me, former Senior Deputy. I guess former deputy now. I don't know. Ben Fields.
He's not. They said they reported he's not working in any schools right now. He is still,
and we know how this works. He's on administrative leave, i.e., vacation. From his job with the sheriff department, and all of the school systems have pretty much put him on the bad list, the do not call list. Well, he's been in a lot of trouble. He had an incident back in, I believe it was 2005, where he basically, let me pull up my notes here. Basically, it was a noise complaint arrest. And basically, they accused him of excessive force of battery. Basically, had at one point in time during the struggle told the other deputy that was with him to get the wife, get her black ass, because she was filming the incident. Now, we also have in this particular situation that happened at the school, we had another student who was also filming, who has been detained as well. So right off the bat, and again, we don't know for what reasons that she was detained. They're saying that she was being disruptive as well. We're seeing this more and more and more. That's why I'm saying this kind of ties into what you were talking about, because I'm going to tell you one thing right now. It is getting to the point where if you walk out and you have a camera pointed at a police officer, there's a 50-50 chance that it's going to go one way or the other. Either the police officer is going to realize he's on film and he's going to stop doing what he's going to do, and the other 50%, which I think is probably a little bit higher than 50%, the officer is going to lunge for you, give you some kind of trumped up charge, demand to see your cell phone for use as evidence, and possibly destroy your cell phone. These are things to consider right now when we're aiming cell phones at police officers. In some extreme cases, we have police officers who have now started either drawing and in some cases firing on people that are pointing cell phones at the police officers, and their justification is, well, I didn't feel safe. That's sick, man. We are living in a very, very, very sick society. And these police officers are getting away with it. Again, we just mentioned a moment ago that Derek Cruz.
Yeah.
Again, yet another situation.
That would hit hard.
And it's not just about, and people need to get, they need to get away from all of this divided, splintered thinking, just like our caller that called in a little while ago about the Republicans and the Democrats. Let's start being real for a minute. The reality is that the police have gotten entirely way more brazen than they have in the past. At first, when this new technology came in, you saw a little bit of a hesitation. But these police officers are going in with both fingers.
Oh, the caller was right. There's such a huge difference between Republicans and Democrats. What would have happened? Look, we wouldn't have the problems if Eric Garner was killed and we had a Democrat as president. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, never mind. Sorry about that. Maybe we did have a Democrat as president. Here's the thing. I really want to get people's reaction on this because I think people's heads would explode. I think they would get in some sort of parallel universe and their heads would start shaking and they wouldn't know what to do. Speaking of the case of Ben Fields, okay, so we have this huge population that no matter what cops do, support the cops. Typically, same people support the troops. No matter what, support the troops. So we're dealing with a situation that this Ben Fields that violently assaults a child in a schoolroom on video, emptied a can of mace into the eyes of a veteran.
No.
A veteran.
No, there's no way.
Same guy.
He's a cop, though. I mean, he's supposed to support the troop.
So wait, who do you support? You support the troop? You support the cop? I don't know what to do with Sean Hannity. Tell me what to believe.
Oh, man. Well, if this were Sean Hannity, of course, it would be, gee, that is kind of a paradox.
Yeah, what do you do?
Hannity could be out.
Because if you don't look at things based on fact and you just believe completely with pure rhetoric and you believe these crazy ideologies that, it's everything's so black and white. It's all cops, all troops, whatever. There's no bad. There's a veteran getting assaulted by a cop. What do you do? Who do you support?
Well, apparently the grand jury that was...
In the case of the facts...
In his jurisdiction, apparently they went ahead and sided with the cop on that.
Well, in the facts, if you look at what happened, I'm siding with the veteran on there. Yeah. That's just me. Support the troops.
So what happened is that they went ahead and put him back on the force. Then he had the other excessive force complaint against the husband and wife. Again, they attempted to record it. He did everything that he could to stymie that recording because he was in the wrong. And was given another pass. And now we have this. And this is not the first time that we've reported on this show a police officer that's in some sort of excessive force complaint or this, that, and the other that doesn't have other previous cases that were all thrown out and all exonerated and everybody's okay. Don't worry about it. Our officer, you did a great job there. Or you've got a tough job. We're going to give you a free pass.
Yeah, at some point they all pin a little medal on them despite their record. And look, we say it all the time on this show because it's literally... It would be so hypocritical to sit here and say what we're saying, all the cops are bad. That's not true. People are people. They're good people that serve as police officers.
And I don't understand why those good people, we talk about the thin blue line and, of course, cop whistleblowers, which have it just 50 times worse than any other whistleblower you can think. But I don't understand why more of them are not banding together and making their voices heard in these matters instead of turning a blind eye. I don't want to get involved in that, or I'm just going to go ahead and adhere to the thin blue line on this one and go ahead and continue to work in what is becoming a increasingly dangerous environment for those cops, the good cops. The ones that are quietly doing their job, that are actually following the letter of the law, that are going home and living good, normal, decent lives.
You're always going to have the argument.
Cops are the vast majority.
You're going to have the argument there's bad laws. And you know what? There are bad laws. That doesn't mean that every single police officer is out to get you. That doesn't mean every single police officer is a bad person. They're not. And guess what? For you to think that every police officer is a bad person and you sit here and say, don't discriminate, you're a moron because you're discriminating. And then for you to go, all police officers are good, you're a moron too. Sorry, human beings, we're individuals. We have our own lives, we all act accordingly. Okay? We're all responsible for ourselves. It's not based on the job we have or the little pins that we wear or, the degrees on the wall or anything. We're people responsible for ourselves. Now, there are instances of certain jobs like the military and police officers, especially politicians, that drives people that want to be in power and have power over people. But that doesn't mean that every single person's bad, because they're not. Individual. I bet you some of the greatest people in the world are police officers. And some of the worst people that have ever walked our planet are police officers in this country. But everybody wants to put this huge blanketing statement on everything. Everybody of this certain thing is this. Good or bad. That's crazy. Like, that's so hoardish mentality. And it happens on both sides. All of this one thing is this one thing. Get over that. You know what? If you see a cop assaulting a child on camera, don't go, oh, cops are good. You go, what's he doing? What's he doing that for? Because you know what? If that guy was in a t-shirt and jeans and wasn't a cop, they would go, that guy's a monster. Just because he's wearing some navy blue clothes that's buttoned up and pressed nicely, and he has a shiny little badge pinned to his chest, doesn't mean he's not a monster.
The sad thing about both the cops and the troops, while we're talking about this, they share one thing in common. They're both set to work by politicians.
They're both paid for with tax dollars, too.
Yep.
Their bosses are us.
No.
Oh, yeah, they are.
You try to walk up to a cop and tell him that and see how quickly you can pick yourself off the
I
pavement.
would.
No, can't pick yourself off the pavement because that's resisting and you've been shot.
Oh, absolutely. You will.
And certainly don't have a cell phone in your hand recording while you're doing it, too. Game over.
Okay, I'm going to change subject for a second real quick. Doctors Without Borders. Happened again last night. U.S.-financed, Saudi-led bombing on a Doctors Without Borders hospital in northwest Yemen. Bombed. Repeatedly. Airstrikes.
And this is 2 weeks after coordinates, and then just
beginning of the month. We had done it in Afghanistan.
Two weeks after the coordinates were given to the military to say that, hey, we're a military hospital. This is where we're at. Please don't bomb us. We're here in this spot. No.
Same thing happened.
Same thing.
Except this time it was our great allies that can do no wrong, Saudi Arabians, that have beheaded 138 people so far this year. Why is that not a massively stop the presses story? Bombing a hospital.
We're bombing so much over there. I mean, there's got to be a little bit of collateral damage here and there.
Yeah. And that's how they sell it. That's how they sell it. There's got to be collateral damage. And people, I think, too, because it was your tax dollars that bought the weapons, but the weapons were used by a different country. Oh, that's not a big deal. But your tax dollars bought the weapons.
Mm-hmm. Which means you, the listener, the American citizen, bought the weapons.
You, the listener, me. Like me.
Yeah.
Me sitting here talking to you, Shannon Madden. Mm-hmm. Bought the weapons with my tax dollars. Ironically, the bombing led by Saudi marked a 1 week anniversary. Maybe Saudi Arabia was celebrating this 1 week anniversary, but just last week, the United States approved an $11 billion deal to sell combat ships to Saudi Arabia. No harm, no foul, though.
Well, I mean, it's just like a neighbor selling a neighbor your old used car. I mean, we don't need combat ships anymore. We got freaking lasers. I mean, really. You know, that's the beautiful part about all this. I mean, it's getting to the point now where we won't have to send troops on the ground anymore. We can just sit and we've talked about it so many times, just some kids in there playing video games.
That's how a lot of this is
except
happening.
for the video game. And again, it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And now we're going to start to see, you know, unmanned vehicles with these little laser dishes on top of them and all this other stuff just blowing a town to smithereens. And it's a bunch of kids in a bunker in Omaha playing a video game. You know,
It's terrifying.
it absolutely is, because, you know, and it makes that war so impersonal now. Now, of course, I'm all for doing anything that we can to protect our troops' safety, but I think tantamount to that would be not being in a situation where we're at a war anyways. I mean, really, in this day and age, war is pretty much almost obsolete, isn't it?
War is business.
You mean people are making money off this shit?
I believe so.
Shut up.
Believe that's how it works. War is a business like any other business. And people profit if business is conducted efficiently. Now, we may see war as conducted inefficiently by saying, you've been in Afghanistan for a long time. This seems pretty inefficient. But if you're making money off that war, it seems like we've been here for a long time.
Just like the doctor that says now that everybody has to have insurance, well, we're going to need to run some tests. You're going to come back in a couple of weeks, and we'll charge you and your insurance company some more money. Oh, one of these tests came back kind of funny, so we're going to start you on a new medication. I need you back here in a couple of weeks to check on it. Well, I don't know if that medication's working really good for you. We're going to try a different medication. We're going to cut the dosage back on that one. You need to come back and see me in 2 weeks, and we need to go ahead and do some more blood work. And next thing you know, you've done all of this stuff to find out, 3, 4, 5 months later that your cholesterol's a little high.
So basically, the government works like the douche kid CEO that hiked up the price of the HIV medication. That's how your government works. Except they don't flip their Fred Perry's or polo shirts or Izod's, whatever the kids are wearing nowadays, with their sunglasses, been like, look at me.
Abercrombie and Fitch. Yeah.
Is that what they wear?
I think so. I
I'm
saw
so out of the
mall. I saw some kids coming out of their side. That's got to be what they wear.
I haven't been to the mall in so long.
You're not missing a damn thing.
Not opposed, just annoys me. Anyway, back to real stuff. I guess let's kind of run over what we talked about tonight.
I feel kind of run over. Yeah.
I heard that. So,
well, I thought we had it tough in school.
my mind's blown that we live it every day, though. We see it every day that people get so worked up and up in arms and say, they're different. They're different. They're a Democrat. They love you. Or they're a Republican. They love you.
Yeah, if it weren't for these damn Republicans, wait a minute, the Republicans aren't in office right now. Well, if it weren't for the damn Democrats in office, well, we're fixing to have a Republican in office. And you're not going to see a damn bit of difference. And
right.
It doesn't really matter. Oh, well, we're just going to start talking about these foreign affairs now. Well, what the hell do you think's going on? You think the whole entire world exists within the borders of the United States? And the reason that a lot of the things that we're seeing throughout the rest of the world and
hey, you can't be without borders, because as soon as you're without borders and you have doctors there, the United States will bomb you, and Saudi Arabia will bomb you. So we can't go without borders. And if we do have without borders, maybe we just need without borders and then no doctors. Yeah. Either way, I want to avoid getting bombed. So if you're going to, this is what I've learned tonight. If you're going to talk about the difference between Republicans and Democrats, you're not allowed to talk about who funds them, because that's coincidental that it's the same people. You're not allowed to talk about foreign policy because, they're just going to...
Oh, that's over there, over in Neverland. We don't care about all that.
Yeah.
This is America. Let's talk about what's going on here. Well, let's talk about what's going on here with our Democratic-led president, our led administration. I mean, look at the state of Detroit.
No, corporate-led administration.
Yeah, you're right. Because again, it is absolutely no difference. We heard a lot about it, a bunch of change. Oh man, there was going to be so much change and so much progress, and I've seen none of that. I've seen a lot of things change. You damn right about that. And they've been progressing more towards what I saw with the Bush administration and administrations previous. It's the same. It is the same dog and pony show on either side of it. It really is, and it's all corporate funded. Every single bit of it's bought and paid for by corporate.
Oh, we're gonna have to bring John McAfee back on.
That would be awesome.
We're gonna have to bring Vermin Supreme back on.
That would be awesome.
If you didn't hear that interview, go look on YouTube. Type in anti-media Vermin Supreme, anti-media John McAfee.
How about Sol Invictus, man? Come on, let's make it a trifecta.
It's a little different. He's not running for president now.
I know, but he's
was what it was.
He's trying to do what he's doing.
Yeah. So again, since the past, government's coming to continue spying on you, quote unquote, legally, even though it's still completely, massively illegal. They're just trying to have disguise and make you think it's legal. Huge deal. Please call. Honestly, I know it sounds whatever. We stopped the war in Syria because we did this. Because at the end of the day, like we say, politicians are this and that, bought and sold. If you make a politician think they're not going to get reelected and that money is going to dry up, if everybody calls and says, hey, guess what, moron, don't do this one thing, they will back down because they want to keep the money rolling. Call your congressman and say, don't pass this crap. Don't. Stop. Don't let it happen. We don't want to be spied on, period. You can do it. That'll be fine. But guess what? I'm not going to do.
Yeah, let's do what we can. I think we need to do what we can to ensure that the government goes back to spying on us secretly. I'm just saying.
Right. The government's going to spy on me. Don't tell me about it.
Yeah, they need to fucking work for that too. Seriously.
Exactly. At least when they catch them, they're like, you're not supposed to do that. But now, if they just come out and say, we're doing it, well, what am I supposed to do? I can't do anything. You're telling me you're doing it. How am I supposed to be mad? You told me. So, I want the government.
You bring up an interesting point there. I wish we had more time. I'd like to expound on that. But
we want the government to go back lying to us about their spying.
Yeah.
None of this being honest and telling me to my face you're doing it.
Yeah. We've been listening to every single phone call.
Or the private companies handing over my information. Like, that's a huge difference. I want to touch on this again real quick. I know there's so many cases out there. And this is not to neglect any of those whatsoever. But with the Derek Cruz case, it was just one that I personally kind of got emotionally invested in. And just kind of want to say to Sheila Cruz and Samantha and his whole family down there in Florida that my thoughts and prayers are with them. And hopefully, something will happen. It's just a shame. And it makes me terribly sad that, no harm, no foul.
Just like most all of these other cases that we see, I don't expect anything to happen with this most recent case with Officer Fields. Or Officer Slam, as the students at his school call him. I kind of like that.
No. Let the boys be boys.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes me sick. So, we've had 980 Americans killed by police officers this year, but that's not an issue.
Thank goodness that person's child was one of them.
All right, we're going to be back on Thursday with Anti-Media. Nick Burnaby will be here tomorrow on UCY.tv at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, and Your host right now, SM Gibson. I will be back with Shane Madden on Thursday. Peace out. Anti-Media Radio out. Peace.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.